Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Medina Minute. It's a bit of a blustery, wet day in Medina, so we decided to sit inside and catch up with a few friends. And today, Larry Johns is here. Larry is the owner of McJak Candy Company, a really fascinating, amazing company here in Medina. Larry, thank you so much for meeting with me today. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I've known about McJak for a long time, or at least since I've been working in town, but I had the opportunity to sit next to you at a business meeting and learn a lot more about you and your company. And again, tell me the story. How did your transition from corporate America to running a candy company in Medina, Ohio? How did that happen?
Sure, I'll talk about the transition first, because firstly, I did not start McJak. The company itself was started back in the early 80s by two neighbors, McCurdy's and Majac, here in the Medina area, actually up in Hinckley.
Oh wow, okay.
So they ran it for 18 years and grew it to from just a kitchen operation to eventually a rented factory, and then they built their own candy factory. And then I bought McJak 15 years ago. My wife and we moved our family here to Medina in 2000. And before that, I worked at Kimberly-Clark, and I was in the Huggies diaper department. So I came from that to making candy.
It's a natural progression.
Right.
You know, start them out in diapers, then hype them up with sugar.
Yeah.
Do you know, did the original company start out making the suckers?
Yes.
That was their first product?
That was their very first product, was in fact the hard candy gourmet lollipops that we make today, which are about 1 ounce or just over an ounce. That very first product McJak made is still one of our main product lines today. Of course,
really?
The way we make it, the flavors, a lot of other things have changed over the years.
Yeah.
But it still is based on the same recipe with the same gourmet deposited lollipop that we made back in '82.
And you have like 50 gazillion flavors.
Oh, we have a lot.
Or at least maybe 200.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like that.
What's your favorite flavor?
Oh, it's hard to pick a favorite. Blueberry and cream is one of my favorites.
Yeah? Okay.
Cotton candy, which happens to also be our best seller, is also one of my favorites.
From where did you and your wife move?
We came here from Connecticut, and I'll give you a little background of how this came about. When I was at Kimberly-Clark in the Huggies diaper department, I had started as an electrical engineer actually at Kimberly-Clark first, and I was designing a lot of the automation and the control systems that they used on their manufacturing equipment.
Okay.
I eventually got more into operations management positions, but I always had kind of a bug, or I always was really interested in someday owning my own business.
Oh, okay.
And we looked at, should we start a business? Tried to look at different options. Couldn't come up with just the killer idea that we thought we could build our whole career around. So I started working with business brokers. We lived in Connecticut at this time.
Okay.
Started working with business brokers all over the Northeast and Midwest of the country. And eventually a business broker who I had written to out of Youngstown a whole year earlier contacted me with this opportunity to buy this candy company. And we'd looked at many different ones, in that meantime. Looked at everything from Massachusetts to New Jersey to Iowa, Illinois, and this one just seemed like the right opportunity. And above all, I should emphasize, we just love Medina. There are businesses that I visited that we ruled out just based on it wasn't the kind of town we wanted to live in, and raise our kids in.
Okay.
And when I took the first trip to Medina to look at McJak Candy, and it was my first time in Medina, by the way, I just was so impressed with the square area and the whole town. I said, well, this is somewhere we'd like to settle, till we retire or even after. Whereas at Kimberly-Clark, we would typically stay in a town for about 3 years, and then it was quite common to transfer on a regular basis with that company.
Okay.
But Medina, it was just a nice business fit. We liked the idea of making candy, and we liked the area too.
So 15 years ago, Medina was a completely different town. I mean, things are really great and we're doing well today, but what are the changes that you've seen? Because you say the square was so great and vibrant 15 years ago. I wasn't here at that time, but we've heard that there were different stores on the square. What are some of the major changes around town that you've witnessed in your time here?
I think two of the things is just the growth of nice locally owned niche restaurants around the square. Okay. Like when my sister actually is visiting from Milwaukee this week, and so we came to a restaurant here on the square just the other day. And
where'd you go?
PJ Marley.
All right.
So and the other ones are excellent.
And I didn't pay you to say that, right?
No.
All right, just had to put that out there. That's
It's just so pleasant to
fantastic.
come out to the square. And then the other thing you were asking about changes, just the number of activities that there are going on around the square.
Sure.
You
It's
know,
a lot.
everything from the markets that they have on Saturday, the different festivals. There's just a lot of reasons to come down to the square.
Okay.
So, and you're not paying me to say that either.
No, I didn't pay you to say that either. Do you have a favorite building on the square, or something that you drive by and you're like, that's what makes us feel like home?
Actually, the one that I've done, and I notice other people do this angle shot a lot, is when you can get the courthouse with the church and the gazebo,
Sure,
kind of
sure.
shooting it from the southwest corner,
Yeah.
looking northeast. I think
just-
that's probably one of my favorite views.
It captures our town.
Yeah, I've done that shot in the fall. I've done it in the winter when all the lights are on and everything.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite angle, but I think the gazebo, just as a focal point, kind of highlights the square. And it actually reminds me a lot of the town that we moved from in Connecticut, their town green. It's basically the same thing, but out east they call them
Sure.
a town green. It had a gazebo, and it was a focal point. I think that's one thing we liked. It was a nice transition because it had somewhat of that village community feel, like
Right,
coming from
right.
a smaller New England town.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Medina was settled by settlers from Connecticut.
Yes.
So the Western Reserves, so having the town square is very traditional.
Actually, in the New
how
Milford,
ironic.
I have a little history book about Medina.
Okay.
And someone from New Milford, which is the town in Connecticut that we came from, was one of the early. Boardman was his name. Was it
Elijah
associated-
Boardman.
Yeah, was associated with settling this area. So there's a
He
connection.
gave he wasn't just associated, he gave the square to the community.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
What
And I believe
a
he's
small
from
world.
New Milford, Connecticut.
That is fantastic. So within your company, certainly you make the lollipops. What are some of the other products that you make? Something that people might not know comes out of Medina, Ohio.
We also make fudge.
Okay.
In fact, we do. One thing I should mention, a lot of people in Medina don't always recognize our products, whether it's fudge, lollipops, or what have you, in the stores, because most of what we make is under private label for other companies. So when you're
Okay.
you might be in Macy's, for instance, and buy a tin with our fudge made in our factory, but when you flip it over, it would have a different brand name underneath it.
But it was made right here.
Yes. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it's Staples. If you go to Staples
Yeah.
stores in the winter, at Christmas time, the Staples fudge tins, same thing, they're made in our factory.
How much fudge are you making a year over there?
That
seems
I
mammoth.
added that up once. Let's see. Well, let me put it this way. On a typical busy day in the fall,
Yeah.
we might make about 2 to 3 tons of fudge in a day.
In a day.
And we're fairly busy doing that type of thing from late August until just before Thanksgiving. We do have some year-round business for fudge, but it's mostly seasonal.
I'm trying to fathom in my mind, what does a ton of fudge
Yeah, this
look
is all
like? Like, is that
handmade.
the size of a semi?
Well, and we
That's
make
huge.
it. We make it in kettles, maybe this big around,
Okay.
100-pound batches. But we can make, 40, or even if we're running on a section shift too, we can make 60 batches like that a day, all stirred by hand.
And it's all handmade.
Yeah.
Literally handmade
All
here
handmade.
in Medina, Ohio.
Yes, all
Staples,
handmade
Macy's.
from scratch ingredients. Just take the milk and the butter, the chocolate chips, the sugar,
That's crazy.
and we make it all from scratch. The other thing is we're going to be doing some new products
Okay.
coming out this year. We're buying some popcorn machines that are fairly automated, but really good popcorn.
Okay.
And we'll be making 4 new flavors: sriracha, Parmesan garlic, triple cheese.
Nice.
We're buying some new bagging equipment to go with it. So we'll be doing a lot of popcorn.
So if people locally want to buy McJak candy, where can they go? If they wanted to say McJak in Medina, Ohio, where can they go locally?
When they're at Christmas time, like this year, for instance, they could go to any Tractor Supply in the country.
Okay.
They'll have our Christmas Story fudge, for instance. Walgreens would have our Christmas Story fudge.
So
at
you make the
Christmas.
Christmas Story fudge as
Yes.
well. That's an interesting tie-in. Christmas Story House up in Tremont in Cleveland, Ohio, and then
Yeah.
we have Castle Noel.
And
that has
Castle
so
Noel,
much from the
Castle
Christmas
Noel
Story.
actually sells our Christmas Story fudge.
Really?
Here in Medina.
That's
yes.
a really cool partnership.
Yes, they sell it. And then once a year,
Amazing.
I mean, this is a ways off, but every year I should mention that we have a huge, open to the public, one day only factory sale. It's always second Saturday of December. And we get a big
Hold on, I gotta
turnout
write this
for it.
down. Second
Yeah.
Saturday, December. So I don't
It's
need a
out.
golden ticket or anything.
No,
This isn't like Larry Wonka.
You come right into our warehouse.
Right
in
in.
fact, you can see some of the production machines from when you come into this warehouse. And we put out all the overruns that we had at Christmas. Like, let's say we had an overrun and there's 100 tins left from the Macy's run.
Yeah.
They'll be out there at, say, less than a third of what they cost at the
That's
store.
awesome.
And people load it up for teacher gifts. I mean, people leave with giant boxes of things. And the popcorn, all this new popcorn we're going to be popping will probably be out there. Sometimes there's things are even in other languages, like if we overran something for Russia, we may have a whole bunch of Russian lollipops that you can buy. One year we had a whole bunch of Norwegian lollipops. You can just buy a case of Norwegian lollipops for pennies on the dollar. So it just happens to be what we overran.
That just sounds like the opening line for a joke.
Yeah.
So we had an overrun of Norwegian. Like, I want to hear Garrison Keillors say that.
Yeah.
Best flavor in Russia is what?
Actually, the flavors that
Blueberries
sell well
and cream?
here. No, the cotton candy, even in Russia,
Still.
or yeah,
Candy's taking over the
Australia.
world.
We still put more cotton candy in Australia than anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Is your family very involved with the company, or do they let Dad go off and not to demean what you do, but Dad gets to go off and play with candy? It sounds like a dream job. I want to go to the candy factory and make suckers and whatever flavor I want and send them all over the world.
Yeah.
And do all this cool stuff and I get paid for it.
Yeah, but actually, it's a little of each. None of my family works directly full time for the business. My wife actually works in the dermatology field, but she does come to trade shows with me. We sometimes brainstorm ideas. I have to give her credit actually for the Christmas story fudge idea. That was hers.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. So she does that, but she does help me at times at shows and so forth. And then my daughters, Brittany, I gave her a summer internship project last year because she had just finished freshman year of college.
Okay.
Where she had to do some analysis and look at my profit margins on a per customer or by, well, she kind of did a profit analysis for me by each of our major customers because each customer has unique costs associated with them that we had never really done the full analysis. Mm-hmm. So that was a good project for her, and it tied in with what classes she was doing in school. People always ask me, are either of your daughters interested in taking over the business someday? And we've never really talked about it too much yet. They're both not at that point. But I always say that even if they would, and I would advise this to other people with businesses, I think there's advantages to I would have them go first work at another company, preferably a candy or confectionery type company, to get exposure to another larger company and bring back some knowledge and ideas. And also I think it's good to work for somebody, report to someone else first outside of a family member, get performance reviews and everything. Yeah. Get a dose of real life. You have to be to work on time and
right.
stay till the end of the day. I think it just helps to get into a corporate routine first.
So we were talking earlier. I had this vision of a soundtrack in the factory, and you told me. So tell me again, what happens when tour groups come in?
Oh yeah, we have someone that works there. Her name is Mary. And in fact, she nicknames herself Mary McJak.
Nice.
And she will, when I'm bringing a group through, once in a while we'll do a family tour, and she'll see us coming through the door in the other end of the room, and she'll run over and cue up "I Want Candy" on the CD player. So as we come through, it's just kind of playing in the background to kind of set the mood. But she does a good job with that. She came up with that on her own.
Larry, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you and learning more about the business. I had no idea. I knew you were a big deal, and I knew you were a big company. I didn't realize, Russia, worldwide, again, right from here.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Oh, thanks.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a great afternoon. I'm going to have to try this blueberries and cream thing.
Yeah, that's right. It's good.
All right, man. Thank you. It was so good to catch up with you.
Thank you for having me.